Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our special board meeting, March the 31st, 2021, starting at approximately 4:06 p.m. Will you please rise to the flag, pledge of the flag? On the count of three, 1, 2, 3, I pledge allegiance
to
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it
stands,
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, board members. I'd like to inform our listening audience how this meeting will proceed this evening. We will start off by going into executive session. I am going to offer a motion. I will need it first and second so that we can move forward. And once we come out of executive session, which probably would be, I would say maybe, I don't know the time, but I would think within a half an hour or less, we will turn the meeting over to the vice president of the board to continue our session from last week. And we will, at that point, move forward with the decisions that that the board will make in public. The board will vote on what their decisions are today. So without further ado, I'd like to say that Dr. Cash is available via phone in the event we need him. However, he has a situation with his family that needs to be addressed, and he can only be reached by phone for this meeting. Without further ado, may I have a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of 1, receiving legal advice, and 2, to discuss information related to a current investigation of a criminal offense that, if disclosed, would impel effective law enforcement. I need a first. Hope J, thank you very much. Second, I saw Kathy Evans Brown. Are there any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. With that said, we are going to shut down for, I hope, no more than 15, 20 minutes, and we will be back.
Live, Madam President.
Thank you. The board went into executive session. We are coming out at 6:16. The board did not take any actions while in executive session, receiving legal advice and discussing information relative to a current investigation that is underway in the district. In moving forward, I would like to turn this part of the meeting over to Mr. Petrucci as Vice President of the Board. This is under his purview. Mr. Petrucci, will you proceed, please?
Thank you, Madam President. So tonight, fellow board members, we need to take action with respect to the renewal or non-renewal of both Enterprise Charter and Westminster Charter Schools. So we will have the two matters before us tonight. There are two resolutions that I will read, and I will ask for a first and a second. At such point, there'll be discussion and a vote, just so the viewing public understands the process here tonight. So we're going to go in alphabetical order. We will start with Enterprise Charter School. I will start by beginning with the resolution. The Board of Education resolution for non-renewal of charter, Enterprise Charter School. Whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education, as charter authorizer for Enterprise Charter School, is required to provide oversight and determination regarding renewal upon expiration of their current charter. Whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education held a public hearing for Enterprise Charter School on March 3rd, 2021, and whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education reviewed the presentation and documents submitted, including the renewal site visit report for Enterprise Charter School, and whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education considered academic achievement for groups of pupils served by Enterprise Charter School, and has significant concern with the historical lack of academic performance identified in data from the State Education Department and the charter school presentation. And whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education considered past performance of Enterprise Charter Schools academics, finances, operations, and their ESSA accountability designation of good standing in evaluating the likelihood of future success. And whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education expressed concern in the ability of Enterprise Charter School to continuously improve student outcomes and significantly close the gap between the charter school, the Buffalo Public Schools, and the New York State average in proficiency on key indicators, benchmarks, and New York State ELA and math assessment. This is especially evident in English language learners, ELs, and students with disabilities subgroups. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Buffalo City School District Board of Education recommends that the charter for Enterprise Charter School expire on June 30th, 2021 and not be renewed. Now, therefore, be it further resolved that the board directs and authorizes the superintendent of schools to engage and collaborate with Enterprise Charter School to develop a plan to provide educational stability for students of Enterprise Charter School for the 2021 and 2022 school year and beyond. So do I have a first? Do I have a motion to bring this? Terrence Hurd. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Larry Scott. With that, I'm going to open it up for questions and discussions. Please signify by raising your hands. Do we have anyone that has any questions? If not, then
Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott.
So my concern as we began this process, in particular with Enterprise Charter School, that in the event that they were closed, that we were looking at, several hundred, 400 students being displaced. And that was concerning to me, as that interruption in their schooling and how it would impact them and their families. I had requested that there be a plan that we would be aware of as to, if in the event they were closed, how students and families there would be communication with them to engage in our central registration process. And that has been provided to us, and an example has been provided, that of which was used with Oracle Charter School when it closed. And I'm wondering if Dr. Brown Hall could just kind of give us some more detail on, if in the event we do vote for closure, what that process might look like for our students and for our families at Enterprise Charter School.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Scott. So what we did when Oracle Charter School was closed by the state, we actually provided information to all of the students and families. We set up informational sessions for those families, and we had our central registration staff at the time, under the direction of Dr. Eric Rosser and Dr. Tanja Williams, actually over to the school so that families can actually go to that school, so they're able to register for any of the Buffalo Public Schools that had opening seats for those high school students. So we would do something very similar for Enterprise Charter School. We are able to share the information of all of our schools that have openings at the various grade levels that Enterprise Charter School serves. And then we would allow parents to register their child for the 21-22 school year for those schools that have open seats. So that's very similar to what we did with Oracle. We would do the same thing for Enterprise, making it easy for parents to register for one of the Buffalo Public Schools that has open seats at the grade levels they desire.
Thank you. Oh,
Any other questions, Mr. Scott? And then I'll have Dr. Rivera.
right, good. He can see it.
Okay. Mr. Scott, are you complete?
I'm complete with Enterprise. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Rivera, the floor is yours.
Brown Hall, could you walk us through how, or any one of our staff members, excuse me, could you walk us through how a comprehensive transition plan gets developed?
Absolutely. So I will take that question if my colleagues don't mind. So what we would do, Dr. Rivera, because we can have two trains running, if you will, on two different tracks. We can provide information to parents, as I stated to Mr. Scott, very similar to what we did with Oracle, but we can also spend time talking with the leadership, and we will do this anyway, talking with the leadership and the board of directors for Enterprise Charter School, because we want to provide stability for the students also. So when we look at the number of open seats we have, the time it will take parents to make a decision, we have other options available. If we so choose, we may look at, that school will not have its charter renewed, but we may turn it into a BPS, assign it a number for a period of time so that parents will still have time to participate in the school choice process. If we do that, it will require us changing the administrative team, making sure the teachers that are there re-interview to be a Buffalo Public Schools teacher, so that we can then convert it and those students would be underneath all of the information and all the teachings that our current students get in the Buffalo Public School system, and then they can participate in the school choice process next year. So there are two different options, but it takes a little bit of time for us to talk with the administration at Enterprise and their board so that we know in our transition plan what would be the right thing for the 21-22 school year to provide stability for the students of Enterprise Charter School.
And in your estimation, with the time that we have, it is both things are still possible. Those conversations can still happen.
Absolutely. Okay. Both are still possible.
Thank you very much.
Does anyone else have any?
Mr. Hurd.
Terrence?
You might, Mr. Hurd.
Thank you. Thank you, President Cotman. Dr. Brown-Hall, could you please tell us what would be if the board today voted to not to renew the enterprise charter at this time, what would be proposed date of their closing? What date would be you think would be the date that people should know that the charter will be closing? And if they vote that the charter to close, to terminate it, when would the parents be notified, and how would they go about receiving this information? What would be the time frame that they can receive information?
Absolutely. Well, since this is a public meeting, as soon as the board takes a vote, it will be known to the public. Very similar to last week when the board had a discussion about both Enterprise and Westminster. You saw the newspaper article came out the very next day. So I'm quite sure that the public and the parents will know by tomorrow. As far as information on moving forward, we would attempt to keep the parents as informed as possible after we have discussion with the administrative team and the board of directors, realizing that the charter expires on June 30th, 2021. So after that time, the school will no longer exist if the board votes to close it and not renew the charter this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
President Belton-Cotman, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, I would like for staff, since we have staff here today, to explain to our listening audience the difference in the management or the requirements that the state of New York Department of Ed requires of public schools versus what's not being required, or to what degree, or the differences. And I think it's important because somewhere in the narrative, there's a misunderstanding that charter schools are better than public schools, although some, they're saying they're public schools. And there are two sets of guidelines. We have the guidelines that New York State Ed requires us to follow. And when we reach certain levels, or we don't achieve certain levels, there are processes involved. And I want to be clear, the reason that these two schools were allowed to remain open is because of their affiliation with the Buffalo Public School District. Okay, in the same year, Aloma B. Johnson was closed. And in many respects, Aloma had some pretty decent proficiency numbers in relationship to what we're looking at with some of these schools. But I need staff to say, are we under, to share that as a New York State ed school, public school, that we are under a more scrutinized system than what currently exists in the charter world. Can anyone speak to that just briefly so that parents can understand that these decisions are not just arbitrarily made, they are made with substance. They really are. Can Ebony or Lorenzo or anyone speak to that? Because I don't think people understand that the monitoring is two different worlds. I don't think they understand that. Ebony, Lorenzo?
Good evening, President Cotman. What I will say in short, charter schools enjoy the ability to have some flexibility around hiring, whereas BPS will only hire certified teachers or folks who are in the process very closely to being certified, like, you know, but charter schools have flexibility around hiring certified folks to teach. There's also some flexibility around curriculum and, you know, the kinds of items that are being taught. All I can say is just reiterate what you have said with respect to our proficiency rates. It would put us in an accountability status that could require a closing of a school.
And we've closed many schools.
Sure if I've answered I'm not sure if I've answered your question completely.
Well, I want to be clear that our proficiency rates do reflect ELS, or students with English as a second language, and we educate all special ed children. I want that to be clear in our proficiency rates. But I do think that these decisions are very difficult decisions to make. We are very cognizant of that. These are children's lives we're talking about, and we're talking about children's futures as well. And I just need our listening audience to know that when we are scrutinized in a big way. And this is the only way that charter schools are being scrutinized, is not being scrutinized in the same way. And I want to work with the state to make sure that transparency exists and that the same set of rules that apply for Buffalo Public Schools apply for charter schools as far as the requirements for proficiency. So I just wanted to share that because people don't understand that there are two systems that exist in New York State. And, you know, but the NAACP understands if you look at their record, and they're on record for saying that. So thank you for that. I'm through with that.
Are there any other questions? Any other comments? All right. Well, then I will use my privilege and express my comments and concerns about the resolution. So let me preface my remarks by saying I'm not anti-charter, but I do believe that you can have too many, and you can have a saturation point that oftentimes is counterintuitive and detrimental to a district. And I think we are at that point in Buffalo. But this year is so unique. It's so very different from a variety of different reasons. Now, we've been asked by, and I'm very sensitive to our Commissioner of the SAD, Rosa's comments about Buffalo and these being one of our schools, but it also, Albany could have placed a moratorium on charter renewals for the entire year because it is such a unique year and because there was that absence of state testing last year. But they've asked us to make that decision, and we will as a board. We will take that charge and we will go forward. I will say that based upon the conversation with Commissioner Rosa, we've kind of been presented a Hobson's choice. We're being asked to make a decision in a very unique year, a year that's unlike anything we've seen for 100 years, that's unlike last year, that's going to be unlike next year, hopefully going forward. And if we don't take action or delay or this inability, that there's that potential that it could open the door for more charters, which is, I don't think any of us really want at this table. I just also want to make sure, as someone that's dealt with SED for a long time, that just because we take action, that it's not a guarantee that one of the approving agencies won't approve more charter schools as well. It wouldn't surprise me. And if it's something different and unique and something that could really change the trajectory of one of our Buffalo Public School students, yeah, I'm sure that we'd all be on board for that as also, but it's not a guarantee. The other thing that I just really wanted to touch upon also was just my vote would have been to extend with very certain conditions that had a drop dead date. If they weren't met, that we would vote to close. And if they didn't meet them, that would have been my choice. Because this is unique, because this is a situation that we haven't faced in 100 years. I'm sensitive to the fact that we have patterns, but patterns oftentimes aren't proof. It's why we don't give the trophy to the guy who's favored to win the tournament, or the girl who's favored to be, or the team that's favored to. That's why we play things out. I mean, look at upsets in the NCAA. Take your pick of whatever your preferred sports or contest is. And that is one of the things, just because it is so unique. I am sensitive. I don't want to have a school that's poorly performing, but this is a year like any other. So again, my preference would have been for a short term with very specific conditions, and then not kicking the can down the road, but then saying that if the conditions were met, that there would be a action that was spelled out in the resolution.
Thank you. Mr. Scott, it has a hand up, Vice President Petrucci.
Mr. Scott, I didn't see your hand.
If everybody has had an opportunity to share their comments, ask their questions, I was going to motion to approve the resolution.
Can I just say one thing behind what Lou said? We all took into consideration that this was a COVID year, and we realized that there is a lot going on with COVID. This is not based on 1 year. Okay, this is based on a pattern of over a decade, and I'm talking about over probably 15 years for each school. Okay, so in this environment, yes, we all are suffering, we all have impact or whatever in regards to COVID. It's not based on 1 year. Charter schools, according to the Charter Schools Office of New York State, are supposed to be higher achieving than public schools and regular public schools. Okay, not that they're not public schools. Regular public schools, the law allows them to be public schools. Okay. However, they are also supposed to be innovative. Okay, and we talked about that. So please do not frame this to be about 1 year. It is not about 1 year. It's about a historical pattern that has existed. And every year, this started for me with this particular school in 2015. Okay, when I think the first renewal came. And so let's be clear, this is not about a 1 year productivity. And the thing about this is that parents feel really good about their school's environment. And we want all of our children to feel good about their school environment. We do an excellent job with that as well. But in addition to feeling good, you must educate, okay? And the proficiency rate, okay, of these schools, if it was a BPS public school and we've seen it, it would have been closed years ago. Okay, so I want that to be clear. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Madam President. Terrence Hurd.
Your mic.
Thank you again. I did have an opportunity to take a trip over to Enterprise Charter School and just to view their facility and just listen to some of the things that was going on within the facility. And as looking at the numbers and the assessment rate from January, their math and reading proficiency rates have gone up. And I do believe that they're making a great effort over there to educate the children and get them their proficiency rates higher. And of course, you just mentioned that, this is not based upon 1 year, but seeing that there is an elevation in the math and reading rates, and there are also other challenges, that's within that facility also. I do believe, like in minority staffing, I do believe that it's over 400 children in that facility. And I believe that the district, did set, some defined goals, what can happen, if the school was to close. But I do think the district should have opportunity to work with the school and set some defined goals, with the schools to try to bring those levels up, to elevate those levels in reading and math. And also there are a lot of the issues that exist, as far as reopening the school and getting children back into the classrooms. So, it's other things, that can offer, but I do believe that the Enterprise Charter Schools do offer a unique opportunity for children. And, and my vote for this will be more towards renewing the contract, keeping them on board, but also having to work with this school to try to help bring their levels up and to help kids. This is a Buffalo public school also. So I was just looking at those things, to be understood. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any other comments?
Yeah, I want to say something behind that, please. It is
Yes.
a Buffalo public school. It is a public school. However, it is not governed in the same way that Buffalo public schools are governed under New York state law. And that needs to be clear. And that's why we're at this point right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Any other comments? Mr. Scott, I believe you had something you wish to say?
Yes, if there are no other comments or questions, I move to approve the resolution.
Do I hear a second? Please signify by raising your hand to Mr. Scott's. Jen McCosey, Jen seconds.
I just suggest a roll call vote, Mr. Petrucci. It's already on the table, so it's appropriate to vote.
Yes, Mr. Kuzma, that was going to be my suggestion as well. Please, if you
Okay.
could proceed, Nate.
Thank you. Thank you. How do you vote on the resolution for the non-renewal of the charter regarding Enterprise Charter School? Dr. Kathy Evans Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
No.
Ms. J?
Yes.
Ms. McCosey? Mr. Petrucci?
No.
Dr. Rivera?
And you're muted. Okay.
Sorry, I'll try it again. Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Woods?
We did not hear you.
I said yes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Woods. We heard that one. President Belton Cotman?
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 votes to 2.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Kuzma. Which brings us to the second order of business tonight, Westminster Community Charter School. So I will once again begin by reading the resolution. The Board of Education resolution for non-renewal of charter Westminster Community Charter School. Whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education, as charter authorizer for Westminster Community Charter School, is required to provide oversight and determination regarding renewal upon expiration of their current charter. Whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education held a public hearing for Westminster Community Charter School on March 10th, 2021, and whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education reviewed the presentation and documents submitted, including the renewal site visit report for Westminster Community Charter School, and whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education considered academic achievement for all groups of pupils served by Westminster Community Charter School and has significant concerns with the lack of academic performance identified in data from the State Education Department and the charter school presentation, and whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education considered past performance of Westminster Community Charter Schools academics, finances, operations, and their ESSA accountability designation of good standing in evaluating the likelihood of future success. And whereas the Buffalo City School District Board of Education expressed concern in the ability of Westminster Community Charter School to continuously improve student outcomes and significantly close the gap between the charter school, the Buffalo Public Schools, and the New York State average in proficiency on key indicators, benchmarks, and New York State ELA and math assessment. This is especially evident in English language learners, L, and students with disability subgroups. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Buffalo City School District Board of Education recommends the charter for Westminster Community School expire on June 30th, 2021 and not be renewed. Now, therefore, be it further resolved that the board directs and authorizes the superintendent of schools to engage and collaborate with Westminster Community Charter School to develop a plan to provide educational stability for the students of Westminster Charter School for the 2021-2022 school year and beyond. Do I have a motion from the floor? President Belton Cartman so moves. I need a second. We'll go with Kathy Evans Brown up in the corner. Kathy, you have the second on this. And now we'll open the floor up for discussion and comment. Please signify by raising your hand. Ms. Cartman, President Cartman, the floor is yours.
So this particular school is eligible for a conversion in our district. And I would like our staff, if Dr. Wright would at least share some of the steps or things that we will be doing with the conversion, if this is agreed upon by this board today, to share with the community. The purpose would be, of course, for as little disruption as always for every child in this situation. I just feel that I would like Dr. Wright to speak on this because she is one of our Buffalo own, as far as she has been a principal in a striving in a school that had to pull itself up by its bootstraps, and the type of supports that these children will receive as a result of coming under our conversion. The level of standard that will be elevated in regards to this, as far as the academic components are concerned. And of course, our intent is to continue with the community school piece that exists in this particular building. Dr. Wright, would you just share some of the things that will happen on behalf of these children? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, board members. First, we want to say that there have been so many wonderful things that have occurred at Westminster over the years, and we're just looking at an opportunity to build on the successes. Westminster has had a long history of intensive community engagement. They have done a phenomenal job with their community schools grants. They have developed partnerships that have been extremely supportive of the faculty, staff, teachers, students. They've developed relationships with families over the years. And what we
Please mute. Jennifer, would you mute, please?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So what we want to do is build on those successes. And the first thing that we would like to do is partner with the community of Westminster and thoroughly evaluate the curriculum and see wherein we could support by making the curriculum stronger for the sake of the students. We would love to partner with them with regards to our CLRI initiative, ensuring that all of our students have the same deep exposure to our emancipated curriculum as BPS does. We want to ensure that everything that we have done through Dr. Tanja Williams' office regarding the BPS systemic COVID testing and reporting systems are also implemented at BPN, Westminster, so that we can ensure that families know that we care about their academics and their health and wellness, their well-being. We absolutely want to partner with them to ensure that the students who are in special education or their multilingual learners are being supported by the full divisions of special ed and the multilingual division. We have divisions of professionals who have met with significant success, who are absolutely ready to partner with Westminster to build upon all of the wonderful things they have done historically, to just give that extra boost to give our kids what they need in order to achieve at high levels. We know that they can do it. We just want to develop a deep partnership so that we can support their efforts to absolutely make it happen.
Thank you. And so this particular school would be a converted school, a conversion is what I'm hearing. Thank you. Lou, in your resolution, I did not hear you say when you were reading the resolution that the historical data under paragraph number 5, I think it is, paragraph 6, I'm sorry.
Correct.
I would like to
ahead,
enter that in as a friendly amendment to this, that you add that into that sentence, if you will.
All right. I will second that motion.
Thank you.
All in favor of adding historical to paragraph 5 of the resolution,
Paragraph
raise your
6.
hand.
2, 3, 4. Paragraph 6.
Oh, I'm sorry, paragraph 6. All in favor of adding historical to paragraph 6 of the Westminster Community Charter resolution? So which we will add historical with respect to, yes, data. Thank you. All those in favor, any questions or comments? Hearing none from the body, all those in favor signify by raising their hand. Anyone opposed? The motion passes. The resolution is so amended.
Thank you. Mr. Scott's hand is up, Lou.
Thank you, Sharon. Mr. Scott, the floor is yours.
So similar to my concern with Enterprise Charter School, I needed to hear more about a plan in the event that we did close the school. But as President Kottman said, this potentially could be a conversion. This charter school, Westminster, it's under different circumstances where it's in a BPS building, so it can be converted back to a Buffalo Public School. Dr. Roy, thank you for articulating a transition plan that could be put in place in the event that this school's charter is closed. What I also want to emphasize from the plan is that there is the potential to retain the students that are in this building and keep families whole. Recruit and retain top credentialed teaching staff, ensure small class sizes that we have in all of our BPS schools from grades pre-K to 3. Transform it into a full service community school, which would include Saturday academies. And this really, I think, caught my attention too. Using it to install an enriched STEAM curriculum that could become a feeder for our new programs at Lewis J. Bennett High School. And then lastly, as Dr. Wright indicated, the CLRI infusion and curriculum and practices, but really we know that with Westminster that the enrollment of students with disabilities and English language learners are much lower than what we have in most of our Buffalo Public Schools. And so there is a plan to assess the needs and programming for both of those groups of students, and to see in the plan to establish a plan to actively recruit multilingual families to me is impactful to see that. So I'm very happy to see this very comprehensive plan in the event that this resolution passes tonight, where we could provide a very smooth transition for the students and families at Westminster Charter School.
Thank you. Anyone else have their hand up? No. Yes, President Cotman, I see your hand.
I just wanted to make sure that that we also mention the fact that I look forward to having Westminster community continue their relationship that they have through the Buffalo Promise neighborhood. I'm sure that M&T Bank will continue to support us in regards to this. They are committed to seeing this school grow and be the best they can be. Their relationships with school number 80 is also something that we're very proud of. And so I'm looking forward, and the parents should be looking forward to a new day in this particular school, because the goal is to make sure that all children are successful and exceed the levels above what we expect them to do. So in other words, our expectations should be low in regards to what they're able to achieve in life. And we know that this can happen if we put the supports at Westminster. I know that we can turn that school around and make it be one of the top schools in this district. There's everything there. The support is just missing to bring them to the level. And I'm assuring the public that, trust me, there are some fantastic people that work in this district, and we're looking forward to making that happen. I just wanted to assure them. Okay, Lou, I don't know if you see another hand up or not.
I do. Mr.
Okay,
Hurd had raised his hand, so I'm going to turn the floor over to Terrence. Terrence, the floor is yours.
Mike, Terrence.
Thank you, Vice President Petrucci. This past Monday, I did have the opportunity to go over to spend the day over at Westminster Charter School and speak with the principal, Robert Ross, and Pamela Hawkinson, director of Buffalo Promise Neighborhoods. I did look at the scores, and they did have some improvement from January report that wasn't introduced during our during the report to the district. So they do utilize a new STAR program that actually had their proficiency levels raised in math and reading. Even though the levels had raised in reading to 24%, and in math, I believe it showed 34%. I believe the levels are still not enough to support this charter school at this time. And I do love the plan that the district submitted, and they took their time. And as I read through it, for a conversion type plan, and I believe this conversion type plan is the best thing for our children, the community over on Bailey Avenue and the Westminster community. And I believe that the district did look into the details of the questions that were over at this charter school. After speaking with Pamela, this relationship with Buffalo Promise Neighborhoods is a great relationship that has been going on for quite a few years under Mr. Wilmer at M&T Bank, and it's still being utilized as of today with this programs and other programs and early childhood centers too that they built right there on Bailey Avenue. So I believe that if the district can find a way to continue working with M&T Bank and Buffalo Promise Neighborhoods, I think that it'll be the best opportunity for our children that's over on the east side of Buffalo in the 14215. And I do believe we also need to address some of the issues about minority participation inside the facility, also having minority teachers and educators. So I believe that this opportunity is the best thing for the community itself, best for our children. Thank you again for bringing this and putting this formula together for us. Thank you.
Can I say one thing, President Cotman?
Yeah.
Because I would like Ebony to please clarify, because I want to make sure the public is aware and the board members are aware about the data that's been referenced that Enterprise or Westminster may have shared this year, because it's not the data that is equivalent to the New York State math and ELA assessment. So I actually need to be careful about that when they are sharing data with board members, or when they share data with Mr. Hurd when he went to visit the schools and they show increase in proficiency. The proficiency they are referencing is not the proficiency in the ELA and math assessment data that we look at and have historically compared. Ebony, can you confirm that for me, please?
Chief Brown-Hall. So to be clear, they're giving you reports from their formative data system and assessments. And so that just is to help teachers and schools make real-time instructional decision. What we do know is that while those measures are good to do that, and we certainly use STAR Math and DIBELS and those things, they are not a one-to-one correlation with the New York State assessment. And so sometimes schools can be led to believe that, oh, my children are on track to hit the mark, and in fact, are not. Oftentimes with those measures, you have schools and teachers, and they will incorporate their own questions, and those questions and items at many times are not valid or reliable tests of proficiency. So we need to be very careful. There are great tools to help us assess where kids are to some degree, but we need to remember that that is not the test that the CSO, or excuse me, the assessment that the CSO and NYSET uses to determine proficiency and accountability. It can lead you astray if you solely stake your claim on that, which is part of, I'm just going to say period.
Thank
That's
you,
why
Dr. Brown. I was referring to the what the state sent out about COVID-19, of the pandemic note, that the schools can administer internal assessment data, for themselves to dictate what their scores might be if they're moving up and going down. Since I believe that the Regents' scores wasn't calculated or was missed this year, so that's what I was referring to, that data.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. Do you have any other questions?
No
or
other
comments? Okay. Do any of my fellow board members do? No? Yes, Paulette Woods, the floor is yours.
Wanted to comment that I believe the plan that the Buffalo Schools is showing for this conversion for Westminster will be the best plan so that our children get a better education, that their scores rise, so the school can excel, and that it keeps the children in their area. It builds on all the positives, and it adds so many things that we can make this a great school. So I think it was a Buffalo public school, and it will be an excellent Buffalo public school again if it is converted. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Board Member Woods. Does anyone else have any comments? No? I just want to make a quick comment. The remarks I made previously for Enterprise are similar to those for Westminster, but Westminster is a little bit different. One of my concerns about this was the promised neighborhood, because few schools are as inextricably wed into the surrounding community as Westminster. And they have been for decades, and there are so many unique programs there, and the community has really come to see that as kind of the locus for that community. So that was one of my concerns with Westminster in particular, because it really is the hub of that neighborhood in the surrounding area on Bailey Avenue there. It truly is. And any alteration of that relationship is really going to be difficult. So I hope that we can maintain it going forward. Do we have any other questions or comments? So do I hear a motion from the floor then? Not hearing any comments.
So moved.
So moved for Ms. Belton-Cotman. Do I have a second? Ms. Jen McCosey. So we have a first and a second. Mr. Kuzma, would you do the honor of conducting a roll call vote?
Vote on the resolution for the non-renewal of the charter related to Westminster Community Charter School. Dr. Kathy Evans Brown.
We can't hear you, Kathy.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I heard a yes, Dr. Evans Brown. Mr. Hurd.
Yes.
Ms. J. Was that a yes?
Mr. J, you're, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I heard the yes. Yes, thank you. Ms. McCosey.
You're muted, Jen.
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci.
No.
Dr. Rivera. I didn't
Yes.
hear you. Thank you. Yes, I heard it. Mr. Scott.
Can't hear you, Larry.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Miss Woods. President Belton Common.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution passes 8 yeas to 1 nay.
Thank you. Mr. Patricia, you turning it back over?
Yes, I am, President Cotman.
Okay, thank you. So we've conducted our business for today. I just like to give a brief statement that I want the public to be assured that this decision was made after looking at all the factors and lengthy discussions that informed our pathways. As the primary pre-K educational organization in the city of Buffalo, it is our responsibility to ensure that every school-age child be offered the ability to succeed on multiple levels. As such, we will manage the transition and administer the day-to-day operations of Westminster and Enterprise Charter Schools to the heightened benefit of their students, parents, staff, and community. What is clear today to our community is that the bar has been raised. If you are going to function in Buffalo as a charter school, you will maintain the requirements of being innovative and high performing with high academic achievement. We have to make sure that our children are prepared for the future. With that, if no other board member would like to comment or say anything, I would like to entertain a motion to conclude this meeting.
Second.
Jennifer, I saw a hand. Oh, Lou, second. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank
work.
you.
I know this
Have a
was
good
a very
evening, everyone.
difficult week.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good, everyone.
Have a good night. Be safe.